Mike, Coach Kelly's talked a little bit about just sort of, the short passing game. I'm curious just as an extension of the run game. Does it feel that way for an offensive lineman? Can a team be physical if it's built around a short passing game?
I think it can. I think we have that already established in our offense, and we have different reads coming out of our run games of whatever Deshaun sees back there. If they have too many guys in the box, we're still going to go after our guys the same way. It's just that they have one more sometimes than we can account for up front, and that's where we've come into some success there with the short passing game, reading out of run game and letting our guys on the perimeter make plays. And absolutely, it wouldn't change the style of play that we have up front, and you just got to stick to your job and do it to the best of your ability with a physical mindset.
I'm not asking you for an exact percentage on this, but just roughly, how many of your run plays are just they're locked in runs versus the stuff that Deshaun can pick and choose? I'm going to switch to a pass type.
I would say that a lot of our runs, it's not even a switch to the pass because I think it's a part of our play call. It's whether it's just determining of what he sees in the box or what he sees on the outside, and I think a lot of our scheme is based off of letting Deshaun read the defense and do some things with what he sees.
Yeah, I guess I meant run pass option, run play that ends up being runs versus just runs that are locked runs.
Like I said, I think it's a good portion of we have a little bit of both, and if depends on a lot of it just depends on the defensive look, and if it's not really a run pass option because whatever we see is what we're going to choose to do with the ball. So it's whatever they give us is locked in on what Deshaun's read is. So it's
I'm assuming you guys are reading the same stuff.
We see it, but we're always doing our job for the run play. Because they just throw it out, and then we're just trying to finish our guy the best way possible.
Thanks.
Yep.
So, Mike, you couldn't change a play. Yeah, I mean, it's all on Deshaun when it comes to that kind of decision making.
Yeah. They don't give the left tackle the opportunity to change the play.
Well, I mean, I thought maybe like you see something and relay it.
Well, we it's more so we don't change play calls, but we have our hand in protections and stuff like that, and
Okay.
we obviously help Deshaun see what's in front of him, and we have certain calls that we give that would allow him to change the protection to a certain side or change the play to whatever we need to do.
Gotcha. Gotcha. This is a week where we normally, focused on talking to the defensive players because of what Navy does offensively. But, just is there a different feel offensively because of, possessions are so precious and how Navy controls the football offensively?
Exactly. We know we have to be close to perfect with this one because they're going to take a lot of time to eat up the clock because of the way that they run their offense, and we have to be able to do what we can to keep putting points on the board every time we get the ball in our hands. And that's the way we've always beaten Navy, and that's the way we've always had success against Navy is by having the most efficient offense possible and letting our defense do their job all day. And obviously it's a big task for them. And going up against a team that runs that offense as disciplined as Navy does, we understand our role on offense is to put points on the board as many times as we can, and because we know our possessions are going to be limited.
What's the biggest advantage you have playing against Navy, and what's the biggest disadvantage?
Well, I think it's not as much of a disadvantage as it is a challenge, but Navy plays probably harder than anybody in the country. They are an extremely disciplined football team. They obviously, the character of guys on their team are a little bit different than the ones across the nation, and they play extremely hard, and they are fighting more so than anybody to the whistle that we have. And in terms of advantages, I think that we understand who they are personnel-wise, and I think that we have I think our advantages is that we are a little bit bigger, a little bit across the board, and I think that's always how it is with Navy, but that's never limited them before. And but at the same time, we understand that, and we're going to play to those strengths, and hopefully we can come out on the winning side of this one.
You know, their offensive line obviously plays low. Does their defensive line play it the same way because of some of the size and strength that they give away?
I think so. They definitely do, but it's not as much playing low as it is with as their technique that they have. They're very good at using the technique that is taught to them, because they understand if they don't do that, they're going to be at a disadvantage across the board. So they're, like I said, they're so disciplined with their scheme, with their technique, and it's a challenge, especially up front when guys are trying to get inside you as fast as possible, and that's what your job is. So it's a good fight up front, and it's an exciting fight, and we're excited for the opportunity to play and match how hard they're going to play.
Thanks, Mike.
When you play a team like Navy that's so disciplined and fights to the whistle, what's the point of emphasis not only for you but maybe for the offensive line going into this game?
Just to make sure you finish. I think that's always what it is for us, but it's even more an emphasis this week because we understand of who they are and what they do. You got to finish your block. You got to sometimes go through the whistle, and that's the way this game's going to be. It's always a point of emphasis when we play a military academy, and they're going to bring it, and that's what we got to do as well.
How much of it is on like a mental side? Because obviously it can get very frustrating when these guys just won't stop.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what you're preparing for, because you know they're not going to stop, and that's who they've been their entire existence of their program, and especially in the last 4 years that I've known them. And it's going to be a battle, and that's what we come into, and we get excited for this one every year because they're a rival of ours, and we know what kind of energy and passion that they play with, and we got to match it.
Priester handled my line of questioning, but I was wondering if you are allowed to change a play sometime, what are you going to change it to when it comes in, if the left tackle gets that right?
Oh, man. Let's maybe a tackle-eligible pass or something like that. Yeah. Yeah.